Chapter 41, The Statue of Fertility. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The location of the arrow tower should be set up on the city wall. Looking around the territory, I finally chose the four corners of the city wall as the location to place the arrow tower. The Lord's wooden house has just reached the third level, and the area occupied by the city is the size of a larger village. It is not like a large city. A city wall spreads dozens of meters. It is enough to build 4 arrow towers. And when the city wall is upgraded and expanded in the future, it will be too late to increase the number of arrow towers. After selecting the location, choose to build directly. The 4 corners of the city wall lit up one after another. 4 arrow towers were successfully built. It is about 5 meters high, with a stone base and a wooden platform at the top. Archers can be placed. Standing guard and ranged attacks. First-class arrow tower can be placed. 0/3. Materials required for upgrading: 750 wood, 600 stone, 150 thatch, and 330 hemp rope. Then, the 4 first-level arrow towers were all upgraded to third-level arrow towers. 3-level arrow tower can be placed. 0/4. Materials required for upgrading: 1,500 wood, 1,300 stone, 800 hemp rope, and 400 stone bricks. Description: the arrow tower is one of the important parts of the defense base. It can be placed in the castle to observe the enemy's actions earlier, and it can also carry out fire attacks on the enemies within the range. The height of the third-level arrow tower is close to 7 meters. Standing tall, it stands to reason that 4 archers can be placed on each arrow tower, which can detect enemy troops outside the territory and can also attack. But Fang Hao had no archers yet, so he could only arrange skeleton soldiers to temporarily act as bowmen. You guys, go to the warehouse and change your weapons to light crossbows. Fang Hao selected 16 skeleton soldiers and asked them to change their weapons. The skeleton soldiers on patrol stopped mechanically, turn around and walk towards the warehouse. Fang Hao took this opportunity to open the Book of Lords and start making iron arrows. Among the blueprints exchanged in the orc market, there is the blueprint of iron arrow, which has been included in the Book of Lords. Iron arrow, wood 1, iron 1. 10 was chosen for the quantity, make. Triggered by 100 times increase, get iron arrow 1010. Just after the production was completed, 16 skeleton soldiers walked over with light crossbows. Take your arrows and go up the arrow tower. The skeleton soldiers picked up the bundles of arrows on the ground and boarded the arrow tower in groups of 4. After building the arrow tower, Fang Hao continued to read the Book of Lords. Check out the buildings that can be built. Statue of Fertility, blue. Category: special building, effect, planting, gathering plus 10%. Description: the goddess bestowed blessings on this territory, with lush foliage and abundant crops. Required for construction: 320 wood, 1,200 stone, 5 natural gems, 2 magic essence, 3 traces of the earth, 3 traces of the forest. I go. Seeing the properties of the blueprint, Fang Hao exclaimed, I hadn't noticed it before, but it looks like I found a treasure by myself. The statue of yield actually increased the cultivation and collection of the territory. This effect is no less than a piece of superb equipment. Suppress the joy in your heart. After walking around the territory, Fang Hao decided to place the statue in the center of the territory. It happened that the materials were also sufficient, so I chose to build it. Directly, a blue light rose, and the outline of the statue slowly emerged. This build took 5 minutes. When the light fades away, an exquisite stone statue of a goddess appeared in front of him. The base is about 3 meters high, and above it is the image of a goddess with a beautiful face and a crown, with a serious face. The arms stretched forward, as if giving the earth. Then, a faint light lit up, spreading and expanding the entire territory. The effect of the statue itself also took effect at this time. So far, the development of the territory is not bad. Manpower is sufficient, and defensive walls and arrow towers are also built. Even without the protection of the novice protective cover, it can still have a certain ability to protect itself. Fang Hao also has enough self-protection ability when he encounters a force attacking the kobold camp, or about 10,000 people, but with a small difference in rank. For the undead camp, war is sufficient nutrition, unless Fang Hao was completely killed in a battle. Otherwise, Fang Hao is gaining a wriggling spine, with the ability to increase hundreds of times. It's like a snowball. The bigger the number, the stronger the strength. In the war, rapid growth and expansion. Master, dinner is ready, it's time to eat. Just when Fang Hao wanted to get into trouble, had already prepared dinner. Fang Hao came over and could already smell the fragrance in the air. Vegetable soup and steaks are on the table. Not only does it smell good, but it looks good too. Appetite increased. Sitting on the bench, he took a piece of meat and put it in his mouth, nodding with satisfaction. The heat was just right and it was delicious. It's a little bit stronger than yourself. Just when he was about to take a second bite, he found that was standing beside him, staring at the food, gulping his saliva. What are you looking at? Sit down and eat. Fang Hao said curiously. He remembered that said that the rabbit people also eat meat. Why don't you eat it now? Ah. Is not hungry. When the master finishes eating, I am eating. Whispered, the treatment of slaves is not as good as Fang Hao. There are no longer a few people who starve to death, let alone meat. It is very difficult to fill their stomachs. Moreover, slaves are not allowed to eat at the same table as their masters. It's just that said that she was not hungry. Her eyes stared straight at the food in the pot, and she kept swallowing saliva. Okay, we don't have so many rules here. Let's sit down and eat together. Only when we are full can we have the energy to do our work well. Fang Hao said. Was still hesitant, took a step forward, but took it back. Sit down and eat. Fang Hao continued to urge. Sat down cautiously, as well behaved as an aggrieved child. After filling a bowl of vegetable soup, he secretly glanced at Fang Hao before putting it in his mouth and eating it. Seeing that also sat down to eat quietly, Fang Hao opened the Book of Lords and looked at today's chat channel. Just opened it, the chat history keeps appearing. It's over, Mr. Fang Hao has really had an accident. The food was not on the shelves at noon, and it was not on the shelves at night. Yeah, I've built a barracks, and I'm still waiting to exchange food with Fang Hao to recruit troops. It won't really happen. Why do people always say that something happened to Fang Hao, and it's been 6 days since time traveled, and there's something to say every day, so we can't hope that the boss will be better. That's right, why is your mouth so stinky? All the time you talk about people having an accident and being killed. Hey! Upstairs is in a hurry. What are you in a hurry when you say Fang Hao? Fang Hao's good son. It's not good for you to mention Fang Hao. As a son, he will definitely rush to bite you. Humph. Just Fang Hao, that idiot, he was so flamboyant, he didn't die outside, but I also killed him when I met him. Chapter 42, Mandatory Tasks. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Hey, you guys are going too far. You can't say it so viciously, right? That's right, the meat and tools Fang Hao sold have also helped many people. You shouldn't scold them like that. So many people in our area can survive, all pointing to Fang Hao. Do you still have any conscience? Hey! I'm just wondering, what does it have to do with you when we scold Fang Hao? Is he your father or your mother? That's right, maybe Fang Hao is dead. You hold him so much and die with him. There was a fierce scolding battle between those who spoke for Fang Hao and those who scolded Fang Hao in the channel. Fang Hao was a little surprised that this happened, but it was easy to figure out the reason. In the early days of people crossing over, people lacked food and tools. Even if he does not trade with Fang Hao, he will not deliberately offend Fang Hao. Today is the 6th day of crossing. Those who can survive are already familiar with this world and have the basis for survival. The food, iron axe, bathtub and other items that Fang Hao sells in the channel are no longer essential items. Therefore, some people came out and began to verbally abuse Fang Hao. After all, scolding other people, but there is no such sense of accomplishment that is not afraid of power. Ding. The private chat sounded. It was Dong Jieyue. Brother Fang Hao, are you alright? It's okay, I just had dinner. Oh, it's fine if you're fine. You don't have to take it to heart, you don't have to pay attention to those boring people. Dong Jieyue comforted, afraid that Fang Hao saw the scolding in the channel, he would be hit in his heart. Who are these people? I don't seem to have offended them, do I? Fang Hao asked casually. Although he didn't take it seriously, he was scolded for no reason, and he still wanted to know why, and watched the chat to find out. There were only a few people who scolded him for no reason, as if they were organized and planned. Dong Jiayue was silent for a while, and replied softly, "I'm not sure, but starting 2 days ago, several people in the channel have been discussing you, and there are some emotions in the words." "Ah. For what?" "It seems that the price you sell items is low, so they can't make any money." Fang Hao does not make a living by raising prices. The items sold are also to gain some profit, earn some for yourself, and others can also afford it. For example, iron axe for sale, normal iron axe production, 2 iron, 2 wood. Fang Hao sells is 3 iron, the price is kept very low. Those who suddenly get the iron axe blueprint and want to make a fortune can only set the price at 3 iron, and the prestige is not as high as Fang Hao. If everyone wants to buy it, the first choice is to come. Fang Hao, even if these people set the same price, no one will buy their items. Oh, it turned out to be a business competition. I said I didn't offend them. Fang Hao said. Well, it should be these people too. I'm not sure. The one who impressed me the most was Yao Yang, but he was not the one who spoke today. Dong Jiayue continued, Yao Yang. When I saw the name, I instantly remembered who this person was. Before, he got the iron axe blueprint, used Fang Hao to advertise in the channel, and was dismantled by himself. At that time, Yao Yang also privately chatted and scolded him for demolishing the stage and not being able to die. If he organized some people to attack him verbally, this Yao Yang could really do it. Okay, I see, thank you. I also want to thank you. I haven't paid the advance weapon yet. The two hung up chatting. Private chat still keeps beeping. Many people are determining whether it is safe to xiang Fang Hao, as well as the debate in the channel. Fang Hao thought about it, and then opened the world channel to respond. I'm fine, thank you for your concern. I have seen what happened in the channel. Please don't waste the number of speeches on these people. A few people have been pulled into the banned trading list, and I will not continue to do anything with them in the future. The deal, thank you all. At the same time, 1,000 units of meat were directly put on the shelves for everyone to buy. Fang Hao's speech and the food on the shelves made the channel boil again. Look, Mr. Fang Hao is fine. If you have the ability, don't buy Hao's meat. By the way, you can't buy it either. It also said that something happened to the boss, and that something happened to your whole family, and no one else would have an accident. Hey, isn't it just selling some food? See how excited you are. You dutiful sons, Fang Hao farts, you are so happy to be like this, you are used to being sons. Fang Hao issued a statement. Not only did it not calm down the channel, but it became more intense. This stage, food is no longer an essential necessity. Build barracks, recruit soldiers, and go out hunting. It may not be enough to sell to the outside world, but it is enough to satisfy myself and the villagers. Therefore, even if Fang Hao pulled these people into the banned trading list, they were not afraid at all, and they were still ridiculed. Just when the channel was noisy again, the long lost system prompt rang in everyone's ears. Congratulations on your safe survival. The novice protection time has the last 10 hours. After the protection period ends, all surviving Lord territories will enter a state of boiling beasts, and all territories will be attacked by surrounding monsters. Beast blood boiling. All beasts enter a bloodthirsty state, all attributes are increased by 30%, and the duration is 24 hours. Good luck. The system just ended. Fang Hao's ear, a reminder sounded again. The novice task has been changed. Because of the special circumstances of your territory, the novice task has been changed to the Crusade of the Fireblade Tribe, and the original task has been cancelled. Task description: you killed the son of Kent, the chieftain of the Fireblade, and the Fireblade tribe will dispatch 30,000 soldiers to crusade against your territory. Good luck. The change of mission made Fang Hao frown deeply. Others are all beasts attacking, but when he came to him, they turned into orcs attacking, and it's still 30,000. There are quite a few. Of course, when he killed the orc team, he guessed that the other tribe would come to take revenge. Unexpectedly, it collided with the novice task, which changed the task. It seems that we need to improve our defense and increase our troops. Fang Hao still has 1,372 wriggling spines in his hands. and the current strength is 150,000, even if it is still a first-order unit. He is not wrong in the face of the crusade against the Orcs. With so many people, they can be exhausted to death. Switch back to the regional channel. Fuck, I led the army to hunt down a monster and set up traps. Isn't this beast's blood boiling to kill me? Change the city wall drawings. Whoever owns the city wall will charge a high price, and the speed will be increased. I don't want the city wall. Whoever has the drawings of the wooden fence, I will exchange it for iron. Faced with the boiling blood of the beasts, the first thing everyone thought of was to encircle the territory and attack. The city wall is the most effective, but with blueprints, it is difficult for anyone to support the huge resource needs. Some people will take the next step and build wooden fences. Resources are exchanged for equipment, and weapons are exchanged. Yeah, who has iron weapons? I still use bone spears. I remember a few days ago, someone said that there were beasts in the river. They exchanged blueprints for iron spears. Who did they exchange with? Do you remember? Yes, that seems to be the case. I remember that the blueprint of the hardwood shield he took and the weapon he changed from Fang Hao should be an iron spear. Hold chow, so Fang Hao has an iron spear and a hardwood shield. Chapter 43, Selling Weapons. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The territory is shielded and recruited militiamen can hunt for food. Let people have the illusion that they have adapted to this world. It is believed that as long as the food is sufficient and the requirements of the peasants and militia are met, they can develop slowly with peace of mind, but everything is what people think. The appearance of the mandatory mission, and the attack of the herd 10 hours later, gave everyone a head-on blow. This time, the protective cover disappears, and the attacking herd will have a 30% increase in all attributes under the blessing of beast blood boiling. Let people realize again that they will face the danger of life and death next. The most effective way to improve one's combat effectiveness is to change weapons and equipment. It is difficult for a brave warrior to exert his strength with a stone axe, when everyone recalled that Fang Hao once sold an iron spear. All the topics were brought to Fang Hao again. Is Mr. Fang Hao there? I want to order some equipment. Big brother, 100,000 hurry, sell some weapons. The quarrel just now subsided, and everyone called Fang Hao to sell some equipment. The threat of death surrounds everyone. Fang Hao looked at the channel and did not speak. This mandatory mission also happened to let Fang Hao sell the equipment in the warehouse. There are two main types of equipment in the warehouse. One was made by their own blueprints, and the equipment was replaced and eliminated. And the other was the spoils of several battles. There are orc weapons, as well as weapons dropped by killing zombies in the castle. These equipments are generally of low durability and worn out. After a simple adjustment, the weapons were immediately put on the shelves. 1142 miscellaneous weapons / 4212 wooden shields, each required, wood 300, stone 150, iron 5, special resource 2. Any one. Miscellaneous weapons, including a wide variety of loot, broken single-edged knives, broken spears, and orc weapons. The wooden shield is the earliest blueprint Fang Hao obtained. It has long been eliminated and has been piled up in the warehouse. These weapons are still lethal, but they are not durable and have varying degrees of damage. Then, Fang Hao replaced the damaged equipment for the skeleton soldiers. The replaced ones are still listed on the channel and sold. Tomorrow's mandatory task is like a sword hanging over everyone's heads. Even people who are greedy for money will choose to take out their old bottom and replace a batch of equipment to save their lives when they are about to face a battle. After all, you can talk about the future only if you survive, and if you die, saving more resources will not be of any use. Therefore, Fang Hao has the pricing power of weapons. Not to mention that the price he said is still reasonable, even if he is doubling it. These people have to bite the bullet and buy it. Increase your chances of surviving. The boss is awesome. This batch of equipment can save many people. Why is there so much more wooden shields than iron spears? Isn't it nonsense upstairs? There is a large stock of wood, so there must be a lot of production. How much iron ore can there be? You're right. Mr. Fang Hao, did you read it wrong? I didn't speak ill of you just now. How could I show that I was banned from trading? I was wronged, even more wrong than Do-E. Upstairs, don't act. You just counted the most fierce cynics and pretended to be pitiful. It's really bad luck. Mr. Fang Hao, I was wrong. I was just making a fool of myself. You treat me like a fart. Don't have the same knowledge as me, and lift me from the ban on trading. Brother Fang Hao, you are my father, and I was wrong. I slapped myself. There will be a beast swarm tomorrow, sell me some weapons, please. The situation turned 180 degrees, people shouted that Fang Hao was arrogant, and those who scolded for no reason also repented one by one, apologized and repented, a look that has been transformed and reborn as a human being. Of course, Fang Hao did not intend to lift the banned list, especially knowing that some of them have already formed an organization. The sooner these people are exposed, the better. Fang Hao can also know who is targeting him. At the same time, I also received some private chats. Boss, look at this drawing, you can change a few weapons. Wooden cup production drawing, white, wooden cup, whitewood 1, hemp rope 1. Description, a simply made water container. Forehead. It doesn't seem to have much effect. Fang Hao said, the cup Fang Hao uses to drink water is also made of wood. It is to dig a groove in the center of a piece of wood, which is usually used for drinking water. Therefore, this wooden cup drawing is really not very useful, and it doesn't even matter if it is there or not. Big brother, change one, and use it as a blueprint reserve. The other party hurriedly said, he was worried that Fang Hao was unwilling to change. What do you want? Iron spear. Fang Hao didn't care too much, almost. The other party's requirements were not too high, so he changed, said, okay, you can put it on the shelves, I will give you one. Soon, the two completed the transaction, and Fang Hao obtained the blueprint of the wooden water cup. Then, Fang Hao obtained many drawings and some rare materials, drawings for making grid wooden windows, white, making drawings for animal skin trousers, white, and making drawings for alarm bells, green. Exchange of drawings is actually quite difficult. After obtaining the blueprints, most people will directly use the Book of Lords to record them. After the collection, the blueprint disappears directly, and the transaction cannot be carried out. The drawings remain. Either it's a good idea to sell, or it's redundant. Therefore, the transaction volume of drawings is the least. Soon, the listed weapons were sold out. Fang Hao also obtained a lot of materials and many special resources. In addition to the natural gems and traces of the earth that have been seen, there are also copper ore, saltpeter, and some materials obtained for the first time. Wait until it's over. There was only a brief calm in the channel. Tomorrow's upcoming battle forces everyone to perfect their territory. Fang Hao and also finished their dinner. Arranges the table. Fang Hao opened the Book of Lords and turned to the production column, and chose to make wooden cups. Wooden cup, whitewood 1, hemp rope 1. Make 1, triggered by 100 times increase, get wooden cup 101. Bang bang bang. On the dining table in front of him, a large number of wooden water cups suddenly appeared out of thin air, which startled hastily reached out to catch a few wooden cups that almost fell. At the same time, his eyes widened in hindsight, and he was surprised by the sudden appearance of the water cup. Don't tell outsiders about some of my abilities. Fang Hao replied. Okay master, I will never tell anyone. Promised loudly. In the territory, there is no place to talk about him and leave a few of these water glasses for us, and throw the rest into the warehouse. Good host. Get up and continue to prepare for tomorrow's battle. Alarm bell, green wood 200, iron 50, copper 10, hemp rope 5. Description. Alarm bells can be placed in watchtower buildings to sound the alarm. Chapter 44, Pre-War Preparations. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The alarm bell doesn't need much material, but it contains copper. If it weren't for the copper in the material just exchanged, he really couldn't build it. As soon as the material is sufficient, I chose to make it, triggered by 100 times increase, get alarm 101. In an instant, 101 alarm bells appeared in front of Fang Hao. The body of the bell is not big, the bottom diameter is about 40 centimeters, and the height is 50 centimeters. The whole body is iron green, and the surface is engraved with complicated lines. Inside the bell body, there is a billiard ball, which can be hit on the bell body by shaking it gently, called several patrolling skeletons. place these 4 on the arrow towers. The alarm bell can be placed on the arrow tower, and the alarm can be sounded when danger is detected. Several skeletons laboriously lifted up the arrow tower. Fang Hao followed behind, waiting for the installation to complete, looked at the alarm bell, then looked at the crafting materials, among them, iron 50, copper 10, with such a small amount of copper, he doubted whether the bell could run. He picked up the billiard ball inside the bronze bell, swayed it gently, and hit the body of the bell. When a loud bell rang, making Fang Hao's brain roar, and in the forest in the distance, flocks of birds scattered. This time he knew that the bell could ring, and it was very loud. Go down the arrow tower, looking at the blueprints. You can also build spiritual fields and logging farms, but both are built outside the city, and tomorrow the orcs will attack. Now is not the time to increase the numbers. After the war, it is not too late to build, then. Continue to prepare for battle. Come to the skeleton transformation field. The skeleton transformation field has unlocked 2 units. One is a third-order skeleton giant bat, and the second is a first-order skeleton pig-headed man. The attributes of the skeleton pig-headed people are no different from the attributes of the skeleton soldiers, therefore, there is no need for special recruitment for the skeleton pig-headed man. Only recruit skeleton giant bats to supplement the shortage of air combat units. Fang Hao directly adjusted the number of recruits to 300, recruitment confirmed. The system beep sounded again, triggered by a hundredfold increase, successfully recruited 30,300 skeleton giant bats. In an instant, 30,000 skeleton giant bats appeared in the light and landed around the territory. Go to stand by outside the territory. Fang Hao said. Skeleton giant bats soared into the sky, flew out of the territory, and landed in the open space to stand by. 300 peristaltic spines were consumed, leaving 1072 peristaltic spines. According to the prompt, there were 30,000 orcs attacking, and the number he recruited by relying on a hundredfold increase was enough to squeeze the opponent's 30,000 people to death. Next, he came to the burial ground and continued to recruit soldiers. Can be recruited, 500 skeleton soldiers. Consumption, 500 peristaltic spine. Whether to recruit? Recruit. Triggered by 100 times increase, recruit 50,500 skeleton soldiers. Available, skeleton spearman 572, consumption, creeping spine 572, is it recruiting? Recruit. Triggered by a hundredfold increase, recruit 57,772 skeleton spearmen. Swish swish. Countless skeletons appeared. The number of more than 100,000 skeletons has far exceeded what the territory can hold. Therefore, the skeletons, like stacks of arhats, are stacked on top of each other, standing still. Seeing this, Fang Hao immediately started making equipment for it. 55,000 sets of swords and shields and 58,000 sets of contradictory equipment were produced. With 110,000 sets of leather armor, all the newly recruited skeletons were replaced, and they still went to the open space outside the city to stand by. After obtaining the animal leather boots at the orc market, it's a collection of all the armor sets. Ear. Fang Hao shouted softly. After looking around, I found that Ear was hiding in the Lord's wooden house, revealing half of her small head, looking like she was still in shock. Fang Hao just summoned an army of hundreds of thousands of undead, which scared the timid bunny girl. He looked out cautiously, his face full of fear. Hearing Fang Hao calling him, he walked out hesitantly. Master, you also change your boots. Fang Hao said. Ear's shoes are torn, but clean, and she doesn't follow her feet when she walks. It's obvious that she picked them up and lost them. Although the animal leather boots made from the Lord's book are not comfortable shoes, they are much better than Ear's. Oh, thank you, master. Ear thanked immediately. She took off her ripped shoes, revealing her fair feet. The toes are as white as tender lotus sprouts. He put on a pair of animal leather boots and stepped on the ground lightly, seemingly wearing new shoes, with a satisfied smile on his face. You wear this pair first, and I'll change it for you later when there's a better one. Thank you, master, this pair is fine. Ear replied hurriedly, very satisfied with the animal leather boots on her feet. There are no sports shoes or basketball shoes in this world. Orcs also wear leather boots. After a long hard life as a slave, Ear was very satisfied with these animal leather boots. The sky was getting darker. Let's go, I'll arrange a room for you. Fang Hao continued, there are no ordinary houses in the territory, and there are no blueprints for building houses. The only building above ground where people can live is their own lord's log cabin. Fortunately, the lord's wooden house has 3 rooms, Fang Hao occupies one, and the other is a study. The last room left can be arranged for Ear to live in. He brought Ear to the room and said, Ear, I will make a single bed for you in a while, and you will live in this room in the future. Ear, who was following behind her, widened her eyes and stared at the room that was about to belong to her in surprise. She had never dreamed of having a separate room, as long as she was no longer locked in a cage, but at this time, not only did she have her own room, but she was still so luxurious. On the ground is a whole piece of animal skin blanket, heavy drapey silk curtains, tables and chairs against the wall, and a large wardrobe with exquisite patterns. Even if she hadn't become a slave, she had never lived in such a luxurious room. Familiarize yourself with it, I'll make a bed for you. Fang Hao patted his forehead. The furniture in the room was moved from the castle. There are several rooms in the old castle, with tables, chairs, and wardrobes, but there is no bed. Fortunately, he has a drawing of a single bed, so that Ear will not sleep on the ground. After Fang Hao finished speaking, he went out and made a single bed and grid wooden windows. The grid wood window is a drawing that has just been exchanged. Just press it on every room of the Lord's log house. In a short time, the single bed and wooden window were finished, and 2 skeletons were instructed to be carried in. As soon as she came in, she saw Ear took off her shoes and stepped on the carpet with her bare feet. Seeing Fang Hao coming back, he stood aside cautiously, commanding the skeleton. He followed the single bed and the grid wooden window. Fang Hao smiled slightly and said, Okay, you can rest, no one bullies you here. You can command these skeletons to do any physical work. Yes, master, Ear understands. Well, rest early. Fang Hao turned around and walked out, just walked up to the 2nd floor. The prompt sounds, the loyalty of Rabbit Ear to you increases by 10 points, and the current loyalty is 90. Chapter 45, Orc Legion. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Everything was ready. Fang Hao returned to his room, lie on the bed and revisit all the plans from the heart. Tomorrow, after the novice shield disappears, the Orcs' flaming blade tribe will attack the territory. This is not a game, but a real war. Dad, it's all over. He recruited all the wriggling spine he had accumulated in order to ensure an absolute advantage in this war. The development of the territory has far surpassed other lords, but they must not capsize at this time. Lying in bed. Turn on the regional channel. It is relatively deserted today, only the few people who spoke were exchanging items. It seems that this sudden mandatory task has brought a lot of pressure to everyone. They are all deploying territory, and they don't have the time to talk in the channel. Close the channel and immediately enter the state of God's presence. God's target, skeleton giant bat, fit 45%. Opening his eyes again, he was already attached to the skeleton giant bat. He flapped his wings and soared into the sky, and inspected the vicinity of the territory, lest there would be any enemies tonight. Patrolled around and found that there was no danger near the territory. Only then did he get rid of the state of imminent presence, lie on the bed, and fall asleep little by little. Day 2. Master, master. Fang Hao, who was still awake, felt that something was being said in his ear. When he opened his eyes, he saw Ear bending over and calling herself softly. The upper body was lowered, so that the clothes that barely covered the skin, the collar was wide open, revealing a large area of white and tender skin. Feast for the eyes. Ah! Fang Hao replied subconsciously. Master, didn't you say that there is something important today and you have to get up early? Ear explained in a low voice. Yes, today is the time for the Orcs to attack. Yes, yes. Fang Hao immediately sat up and started getting dressed. After a simple wash, he walked out of the room and climbed the city wall to look into the distance. The direction of the kobold camp is to the east of the territory, so the Fireblade tribe will also come from the east. Standing on the arrow tower and looking into the distance, there was no whereabouts of the Orcs. Outside the territory is still a large area covered by mountains and forests. It is possible that the other party is already on the road and is blocked by mountains or trees. Fang Hao sat directly on the ground of the arrow tower and cast Shenlin, God's target, skeleton giant bat, fit 45%. Outside the territory, where the troops gathered, a giant bat skeleton, with light blue light in its eyes, fluttered its wings and flew towards the east. after crossing the mountain, I saw a large number of orcs approaching him. It is estimated that it will take another hour or so to arrive at the territory of the city. Fang Hao stopped the skeleton giant bat on a giant tree, while deploying the troops. He continued to use the gods to possess giant bats to monitor the movements of the orcs and the types of troops. Fireblade tribe. Last night, the orc scout sent back news of the enemy's territory. There are indeed some undead troops patrolling near the territory, but it is not as exaggerated as the Kobold Patriarch said. It is estimated that there are 5,000 or 6,000 in total, and they are all first-order skeletons at the bottom. Chief Kent, after listening to the news from the scouts, directly ordered the beheading of the Kobold Patriarch. Early this morning, the tribe's entire army set off and rushed all the way to this undead territory. Before the night comes, he must step on the territory, avenge his son Keto, and plunder all the resources of the village. Chief, you can see the other side's territory. A warg cavalry. Approaching the chieftain's car, he said softly, on the chariot pulled by the two wolves. Kent, the Fireblade chief, was closing his eyes and resting. Hearing the report of his subordinates, he opened his eyes slightly. Has there been any human lord who found the other party? I didn't see the lord of the other side, so he probably hid in the city wall and didn't dare to show his face, but this time the other side's troops have increased as compared to yesterday, and defense facilities such as city walls and defensive towers have also been built. The cavalry continued. Is it still those skeleton racks? Yes, they are the lowest level of undead troops. Humph. Speed up and bring the supplies from this territory back to the tribe before dark. Kent continued to order. Yes. The cavalry replied and relayed the chief's order again. The whole people of the Fireblade tribe are soldiers, and this time, all the fighting forces are pouring out. Among them, there were 20,000 infantrymen, 7,000 spearmen, and 3,000 wolf cavalry. How could such a powerful fighting force be afraid of those inferior skeletons? Kent leaned on his chin, and there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. He was already thinking, what means should he use to torture him when he catches that human lord? He certainly couldn't easily let him die and wait until the end of the torture, then chop it into pieces and feed it to the warg as food. The team approached quickly, and when they approached the local territory, they also saw the skeleton army arranged under the opponent's city. The white skeleton is wearing armor, holding a weapon and a shield in his hand. The number is really quite a lot, around 100,000. Prepare to attack. Kent sneered at the other party's self-control, and then ordered loudly, city wall. Fang Hao looked at the army of orcs under the city with a solemn expression. Even though the perfect arrangement has already been made, I have calculated countless times in my heart. But the war is imminent. Tension, depression, and various emotions arise in my heart. Fang Hao watched the countdown of the Book of Lords, waiting for the opponent to take the lead in attacking. When the countdown returns to 0, the system prompt also sounds again. The novice protection period officially ends. I wish you all the best of luck. The protective cover above the territory is like a broken balloon, dissipating little by little. The Orc Legion in the distance also sounded the horn of attack. Woo. The horn sounded, the orcs became crazy and ferocious as if they had been beaten by chicken blood, and they launched an attack with a loud roar. There are no special tactics to speak of. All the arms rushed forward together, but the speed was different, and there was a gap. The one rushing in front was the warg cavalry. Want to rely on fast mobility. First a charge attack. Bowmen can attack. Fang Hao ordered. On the city wall, Fang Hao arranged for 1,000 crossbowmen with light crossbows. After Fang Hao gave the order, they raised the light crossbows in their hands and shot at the rapidly approaching warg cavalry. The sudden rain of arrows caught the wolf cavalry by surprise. The original formation dissipated in an instant, and the distance between each other was widened, and they continued to follow quickly. Fang Hao stood on the city wall and watched the changes in the cavalry. Ear. Fang Hao called softly. Ear is also wearing leather armor, and his face is full of fear. Lord, Lord. Take care of my body, don't let me bump it. Fang Hao sat directly on the ground. What? Before Ear could figure it out, Fang Hao's body fell backward softly. In the next second, Ear stopped Fang Hao, who was paralyzed, and was a little overwhelmed. Under the city. God's target, skeleton spearman, fit 75%. The spearman takes 2 steps forward and prepares to meet the enemy. Fang Hao ordered loudly. All the spearmen took 2 steps forward and turned their spears towards the rapidly approaching Warg cavalry. Chapter 46, Fireblade, Kent. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The Warg cavalry, who originally wanted to charge quickly, when he saw that he was greeted by a spear stabbing forward, he immediately pulled the reins to stop the sitting Warg. If this is to rush, it is equivalent to speeding up and slamming into the sharp edge. It's no different than giving a head, but just after it stopped, another group of arrows rained down, and a large number of cavalry and warwolves were injured and howled in pain. The defeat of the cavalry in front did not stop the army of orcs behind. The black orc infantry continued to charge forward with an angry roar. When the orc spear thrower was 400 meters away, he stopped, took out the short spear on his back, and threw it towards the skeleton team. Fang Hao commanded the arrangement of the skeleton spearmen under the city and lifted the God's presence state. He got up from Eir's arms and looked at the movement of the orcs under the city again. Without waiting for Eir to speak, her body softened and she fell down. Again, God's target, skeleton giant bat, fit 45%. The huge 30,000 skeletons were hidden in the woods by Fang Hao. When 30,000 skeletons appeared in the sky above the battlefield like a black cloud covering the sky, huge shadows moved quickly. Then, it flew to the sky above the orc spear thrower. The fleshy wings were retracted, and 30,000 giant bats swooped down, rushing into the camp of the orc spearmen like cannonballs, and began to fight. The nearby orc warriors rushed to help, but the skeleton giant bat was more mobile than the cavalry. After a wave of attacks, it flew into the sky without much stopping. This kid also arranged an ambush. Be careful of these skeleton bats and speed up the attack. Chief Kent ordered loudly, urging the rhythm of the attack. The orcs charged even more frantically. Fang Hao woke up again, ignoring the soft touch of Eir's body. Look again at the overall battle situation under the city. This has the feeling of playing real-time strategy on the computer, but he has to use the gods again and again, and it is not as convenient as touching the mouse. At this time, the army of orcs had already arrived at the city, only 300 meters away from the city wall. It's time to close the net, Fang Hao said, and his body fell down again. Eir held Fang Hao in her arms while watching the battle situation under the city nervously. The orcs under the city let out an angry howl, which made her body tremble. She was fortunate yesterday that she was sold to a good owner. She was fed and she was given a comfortable room, but today, it was attacked by orcs. She also understands the cruelty and fighting style of the orcs, and it may be difficult for this city to resist the opponent's attack. Just when Eir felt sad, Fang Hao, the new owner, was reluctant to part. The situation on the battlefield suddenly changed. I saw that in the orc camp, a large number of skeleton legions appeared again behind and on both sides. The army of skeletons battled in an orderly manner, with spearmen and soldiers interspersed in their positions, and began to rapidly shrink their range in the form of flanking. Skeleton giant bats in the air kept harassing, and from time to time, orc soldiers were picked up and dragged into the air, torn to shreds by a group of skeleton giant bats. The dense number of undead caused chaos among the screaming orcs. Morale began to plummet. When the fierce and belligerent orc army encountered the undead army who did not know the pain of life and death, they began to suffer a large number of casualties, and the number of people was rapidly reduced. Chief Kent was standing on the warg chariot at this time, his face extremely gloomy. The number of undead on the other side is dozens of times more than in the intelligence. This life-for-life style of play can also consume all his warriors. Pulling on the reins of the warg chariot, he shouted, "Everyone move closer to me." Kent in iron armor, holding a long blade. Every time he slashed, he brought out the red flames, killing a large number of skeleton soldiers. Fang Hao also noticed Kent at this time. After all, looking down from the city wall, whether it's the warg chariot or the vacuum zone smashed out in front of him, it's too eye-catching. Fireblade Kent, blue tier 3 hero. It turns out that he is Fireblade, or a tier 3 hero. In the orc market, Fang Hao met the first hero orc. It's the Tauren chief, the Copper Bull Terok. Unexpectedly, the chief of this Fireblade tribe is also a hero. It's just that the level photo is a little lower than that of the Copper Bull. Even so, it still showed the combat effectiveness far beyond the arms. Boom. Kent stanced the warg chariot and broke through the blockade of the frontal skeleton team. Crowds of skeleton soldiers were knocked over by chariots. Breaking through the skeleton's block, he rushed directly to the city. raised his sword high, and charged out. As if the real blood-colored sword light came out, it slashed directly on the city gate in the next second, boom. The entire city wall shook for a while, and a huge crack was left on the city gate. With this level of attack, a level 4 wooden city gate can't support it for long. Seeing that the orc hero charged up again, Fang Hao's expression instantly gloomy. Be sure to delay the time when he breaks the city. The army of skeletons on the battlefield has already taken the lead, and it is only a matter of time to destroy the orc army. To drag the orc hero to break through the city gate, and use the army of skeletons to kill him alive. Fang Hao hid on the city wall and looked at each other through the gap. Seeing that the other party didn't notice him, he immediately stretched out his left hand. A fiery fireball condensed. It is the skill carried by the Ring of Flame, Flame Fireball. Burn you to death. With a slight push, the fireball roared out and slammed into the orc hero. Kent is charging. Just as he was about to slash again, a burst of heat came from above his head. Kent didn't hesitate at all. With his intuition about danger, he turned the blade and swung the blood-red blade upwards. Boom. The knife light collided with the fireball, producing a violent explosion. Mind-blowing. Whoosh whoosh. At the same time, the archers on the city wall, under the command of Fang Hao, launched an attack on Kent. 2,000 archers, all targeting one person. The black arrows are like a large black net that is cast down. Kent quickly swung his knife and shot down the arrow above his head, but the warg pulling the cart was not so lucky. In the face of such a dense attack of arrow feathers, they instantly became two porcupines, full of arrows. He fell to the ground and died, and just like that. Remote uninterrupted harassment, it dragged on until the battle on the battlefield was over. The skeleton soldiers filled the gap between the ranks with human sea tactics and killed all the orc soldiers. Wounded and intact skeleton soldiers, 50,000 remained. Nearly 200,000 soldiers were killed, and there were only 50,000 soldiers left. It was really tragic. The next battle does not require Fang Hao's command. Only the orc chief Kent was left, and he was surrounded by everyone's skeletons without the mobile blessing of the warg chariot. Even if the combat power is amazing, even if the attack is fierce, after being besieged for 30 minutes, he let out a final unwilling roar, and was finally completely submerged by the sea of skeletons. The fierce battle finally came to an end, and the undead won. Chapter 47, Defeating the Orcs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood. The battlefield was a mess. Densely packed corpses and bones covered the entire battlefield, broken limbs and broken arms, blood flowing freely. Drops of blood seeped into the soil, dyeing the ground black and red. Fang Hao and Er stood on the city wall, watching the scene in front of them silently. There was a little silence. Fang Hao walked down the city wall and the broken door reopened. Clean the battlefield, collect all the trophies, and throw the corpses into the skeleton transformation field. Fang Hao walked out and said loudly. The skeletons who were standing still took action again, stripping off all the equipment on the corpses and throwing them into the skeleton transformation field. It takes a certain amount of time to transform corpses in the transformation field. As corpses continue to be transported in, the transformation time also keeps adding up. Soon all the loot was collected. The orc chief also received special care from Fang Hao. Let the skeleton soldiers strip him naked, even pry open the mouth to see if there are any gold teeth or other items. Harvest. 35,720 pieces of orc weapons, 27,420 sets of orc leather armor, and 8,300 sets of orc iron armor. In addition there are 18,867 wriggling spines, war horn, bloodthirsty blade. War horn, blue, category, horn, dot, attributes. After blowing, the morale of your own unit will be plus 5%, movement speed plus 10%, and attack plus 2%. Description: the art of war depends on the initial momentum. Not bad. Morale has no use for skeleton troops. The soldiers in the skeleton camp have no emotions at all. They don't know fear or death, and they naturally have no such thing as morale. But movement speed and attack are still very good attribute bonuses. It's no wonder that when the horn sounded, the orc army rushed from a distance as if they had been beaten to death. Especially those warg cavalry, their speed is even more amazing. In addition to the mobility of the cavalry, this horn also increases the movement speed greatly. Bloodthirsty blade, purple, dot, category, great sword, dot, damage. level 4 damage, set effect, Mad Demon. After destroying or assisting in the destruction of every enemy, the strength increases by 1%, lasting 8 seconds. This effect can be stacked up to 50 times. Description: the sticky blood prompts you to commit heinous crimes. Fang Hao is too familiar with the bloodthirsty suit. When I killed Keto before, I got the bloodthirsty armor part. It was also because of the incomplete bloodthirst suit that Kent, a level 3 hero, did not show his original strength. Otherwise, relying on the superimposed damage from killing skeletons is enough to kill all the way, until they broke open the city gate and entered the territory. But everything has become a foregone conclusion, and Fang Hao still wins in this test. He has also collected all the bloodthirsty suits, but he can't wear them yet. Finally, there are 18,867 squirming spines. Fang Hao was even more delighted with the number of orc equipment and spines he collected. If he wants, he can recruit a huge skeleton army again and continue to fight for himself. Fighting to support fighting is his best tactic. After cleaning the battlefield, Fang Hao continued to assemble his team. After the war, there are more important things. Search the opponent's territory, and the opponent will come out in full force. There will definitely be no troops in the territory, and there will even be only an empty city left. If Fang Hao does not occupy the orc territory supplies as soon as possible, he may be able to gain advantage from other nearby lords. At that time, it will become very troublesome to transport resources. I want to lead troops to these people's territory and transport all the useful materials back. I will leave some troops for you. If not, don't open the city gate. Fang Hao told Fang Hao also considered using Divine Presence to possess the skeleton. However, the use of Divine Presence still requires distance between oneself and the troops. The farther the distance between the two, the more mental energy consumed will increase exponentially. What's more, in the battle just now, Fang Hao's frequent and continuous use of Divine Presence had left him mentally exhausted. There is no way to complete this mission of leading troops to the orc territory. After thinking about it, I decided to go there myself. Oh. Okay, I understand, Master. Replied in a low voice. When she heard that Fang Hao asked her to stay alone and command a group of skeletons to defend the city, her heart suddenly lifted, but the slave's obedience to the master made her grit her teeth and agree. Well, wait until I come back. Fang Hao patted her shoulder gently and led the team away. When Fang Hao left with 30,000 troops, the gate to the territory was instantly closed. Stood on the city wall and watched Fang Hao lead the team away. Fang Hao didn't know the location of the Tomahawk territory, but the orc army came all the way, leaving obvious traces on the road. As long as you follow the traces, it's not difficult to find the other party's location. The undead army was advancing rapidly, and Fang Hao was lying on the cart, not daring to use God's presence casually to consume his own energy. Simply open the Book of Lords and see how everyone is fighting. Sure enough, there was no liveliness at this time. My territory can no longer be defended. I have lit a beacon. Are there any brothers nearby who can save me? I will give all my resources to you. Brother, I saw it. You can help me first, and then we can take back your territory together. Chow, I and the soldiers are trapped in the wooden house. How can I help you? Help. I'm so scared. I want to go home. Hong. I don't know if you have come to this world. If you can see it, I hope you know that I love you. Find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Wang Shui, I love you, and I hope you can be happy in the end. Yang Meng. Damn it. The chat group instantly turned into a large-scale confession scene, and the names of men and women appeared one by one. It seems that everyone has a partner and someone they like. Hateful. He had never been so seriously injured in the previous battle. They've fucking traveled through time, and they still have to watch these people show off their affection. Cursing secretly in his heart, Fang Hao still sat up and looked around. I didn't see any beacon fire, and it seemed that I was still far away from the other party. It took several hours to walk. Fortunately, only Fang Hao had to eat, drink and urinate by himself, and none of the other skeleton soldiers were used, thus reducing the time wasted. Tomahawk's camp has exceeded the boundaries of the village, and it is more appropriate to evaluate it as a small city. the all-stone city wall stands tall, and through the open city gate, you can see the buildings inside. The Orc territory is not the empty city Fang Hao imagined, but there are more than 10 Orcs left behind. Go up, capture the city directly. Fang Hao ordered, blowing the war horn at the same time. Woo! A loud horn sounded, and various attributes were blessed on the skeleton soldiers. Let them run to the territory quickly. The Orcs who were left behind heard the horn, and their expressions changed drastically when they saw the skeletons running towards the territory. Even closing the city gates cannot stop the attack of the skeleton army. Like a stack of arhats, they rushed up the city wall and captured the city. When Fang Hao came from behind, the city gate was slowly pushed open by skeleton soldiers to welcome Fang Hao's arrival. Collect everything that can be taken away. Fang Hao gave the order to raid. Chapter 48, Sweeping the Territory. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Fang Hao issued a search order, and all the skeleton soldiers dispersed immediately. Start scavenging for all the supplies you can take away. Fang Hao observed the entire territory, and his eyes lit up when he saw the chief's hall in the center. Generally speaking, the chief has the greatest wealth of the tribe, and can definitely find some good things. Moreover, in such a territory of tens of thousands of people, there will definitely be treasure chests of high quality. You guys don't need to search, just follow me. Fang Hao called a few skeletons. Who knows if there are any special dangers inside? It is better to be careful. The 6 skeletons immediately stopped their work and followed Fang Hao silently. The hall of the chief is still a combination of ordinary stone and wood, not a stone and brick building like an ancient castle. This made Fang Hao a little pity. If this is also a stone brick building, he will arrange for people to pick up the building here to obtain stone bricks. Step into the lobby. The interior is spacious and bright. Take off all these hanging curtains, as well as this chandelier. Don't break it. Fang Hao gestured as soon as he entered the room. Skeletons in action. Orc camp, obviously not as rich as the vampire castle. The antler chandelier was filled with half-burning candles, not the luminous stone of the vampire castle. Of course, Fang Hao didn't dislike it either and planned to take them all away. The skeletons began to move the indoor furniture out, and Fang Hao sat on the chair in the center, facing each other. This chair must be Chief Kent's seat. Orcs are strong, but when Fang Hao sits down, he looks a little too big. Okay, lift it out. Fang Hao got up and asked the skeleton to lift the seat out. Regardless of whether he can use it or not, it will be shipped back anyway. Soon the hall was swept up. Fang Hao continued to sweep several bedrooms. All kinds of furniture, hangings, curtains, and bedding were all moved out, waiting to be transported away. Inside the master bedroom, the skeletons carried the items, and Fang Hao set his sights on the golden treasure chest placed against the wall. This is the second golden treasure chest he has seen. I was inexplicably excited. Heaven Lingling, Earth Lingling, Taishang Laojun is in a hurry as the law dictates. Evil will come and good luck will come, and the whole family will make a fortune. Fang Hao thought about it for a long time before directly opening the treasure chest. Obtained. Cavalry Training Camp Construction Blueprint, Excellent Single-Edged Sword Production Blueprint, Green, Quarry Construction Blueprint, Leather Saddle Production Blueprint, White, War Coin plus 320, Animal Tooth Stone plus 35. The harvest is not bad, although there are no special surprise items. There are cavalry training camps and green equipment drawings. After recruiting cavalry and making a green single-edged sword, the overall strength of the territory will be greatly improved. Beast Tooth Stone. Category, or, description, rare ores required for the construction of orc buildings. The shape is like a crescent-shaped animal tooth. Fang Hao has collected a lot of ores from these various ethnic groups, the Shadow Stone of the Undead clan, the Blood Stone of the Blood clan, and now the Beast Tooth Stone of the Orc clan. All the blueprints are included in the Book of Lords, and the War Coins and Beast Tooth Stones are also put into the backpacks. Get up and leave the chief's hall. In the hall, except for the house, which was not picked up, all the furniture was moved outside. Skeletons are still sweeping the territory, and Fang Hao's eyes fell on the pasture not far away. It was the pasture of the Tomahawk tribe, and hundreds of one-horned sheep were domesticated in the enclosure. These one-horned sheep have apparently been tamed and are resting in peace, and have no response to the invasion of the territory. Even as the skeleton passed by the fence, the one-horned sheep just glanced lazily, then eat and eat, sleep and sleep. When he saw these one-horned sheep, Fang Hao was overjoyed again. I remember last time, in order to catch a wild one-horned sheep, he surrounded it with a skeleton for more than an hour. In the end, the one-horned sheep ran away. Well now, the orcs have been domesticated, and both males and females are available. Take all the sheep away. Fang Hao said to the skeleton. After thinking about it, he added uneasy, if you want to live, tie them up and bring them back to the territory. The skeleton entered the sheepfold and began to tie the one-horned sheep one by one. When all the resources were transported out, Fang Hao began to count. Resources: 3 creeping spines, 51208 wood, 28503 stone, 8575 thatch, 111850 leather, 842 iron, 520 copper, and 524 war coins. Miscellaneous: 442 baskets of fruit, 95,520 units of meat, 1,120 units of salt, and 324 unicorn sheep. Furniture: 20,000 simple wooden beds, 8,000 various cabinets, 4,000 sets of tables and chairs, 4 animal horn chandeliers, pots and pans, and curtains. This time the number is huge. If it weren't for the small number of troops he brought with him, Fang Hao would have wanted to remove the doors and windows of the orcs' residence and take them all away. Fang Hao took out the Book of Lords, and directly used a hundredfold increase to make 30,000 scooters, and all the supplies were loaded and tied up. But then, Fang Hao found out, even so, this batch cannot transport all the resources back. Looks like it still needs to be shipped a second time. Fortunately, it was still early and there was plenty of time. For the first time, Fang Hao chose to return to the territory after choosing a few trucks of more important supplies. Go back. The gates of the Tomahawk territory were hidden, and the team returned to the territory in a mighty manner. Watching Fang Hao lead the team back from afar, Ear ordered the skeleton soldiers to open the city gate to welcome him. Master! Ear exclaimed happily, staying with Fang Hao is better than staying with these skeletons. Fortunately, after discovering that the skeleton soldiers would not hurt themselves, they were not as scared as they were at first. Well, these are the spoils of the orc territory. You change the bed in your bedroom, and see what you need, and arrange it yourself. Fang Hao said, and the skeleton instructing the cargo to unload the cargo at the designated place. Gear's eyes widened, looking at the piles of items on the skeleton team's cart, and those hundreds of stop-and-go one-horned sheep. This is a home raid. How can I go out and bring back so many things? Oh, okay. Il continued to answer. Fang Hao nodded and asked the skeletons to bring the one-horned sheep into the pasture. The territorial pasture was only level 1, and when more than 300 one-horned sheep entered, it immediately became crowded. If the resources are sufficient, the ranch will be upgraded immediately. Secondary pasture: 1,500 for wood, 1,200 for stone, 800 for thatch, and 400 for hemp rope. Third level pasture: 2,200 for wood, 1,800 for stone, 1,600 for thatch, 800 for hemp rope, and 200 for leather. The ranch was upgraded to 3 levels in a row, and the site was instantly doubled, and the area was no smaller than the orc ranch. After busying everything, Fang Hao explained to Ear, I still need to take another trip, you continue to look after the house. After that, they set off here with the skeletons who have finished unloading the goods, return to the orc territory and continue delivering the rest of the cargo. Dusk is approaching. With the second batch of goods, start to return to the territory. The marching speed of the infantry, especially the skeleton infantry, is still too slow, and time is basically wasted on the road. When the cavalry is recruited in the future, the marching speed will be increased. Lie on the scooter, chose a comfortable position, opened the Book of Lords, and looked at the battle situation of everyone. Called from morning to night, it should be over. The war of attrition can't be played for a day. Sure enough, the surviving lords were discussing their achievements and gains. As long as they survive and kill the beasts, the meat will be enough for the people of the territory to eat for several days. Suddenly, a message caught Fang Hao's attention. It was Zhangbin, who was not far from his own territory. Which boss saves me? I can't hold it anymore. I am willing to give you all the resources, and ask the boss to help me. Chapter 49, The End of the Challenge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Zhangbin's territory, the beasts, whose blood boiled, launched a frantic attack on the territory. all defense facilities in the territory were broken. Zhang Bin took all the territorial people and soldiers, and used the Lord's wooden house as the last defense to resist the attack of the herd, but the long battle made him and the soldiers exhausted, reluctantly relying on instinct and desire to survive. He is struggling to support. Everyone knows in their hearts that these people will not last long. Without reinforcements or other changes, they would be the rations of beasts today. Zhang Bin was replaced by the militia, opened the Book of Lords again, and asked for help. Which brother please help, I beg everyone, if you can survive. Zhang Bin will never forget your kindness. In the current situation, it is no longer as simple as exchanging weapons and food, unless you can switch to rockets, and the 2 cannons will kill the hordes of beasts outside. 1 or 2 weapons will not be of much use. You can only count on the nearby lord who has completed the defense to have time to help him, but Zhang Bin's call for help never caused much reaction in the channel. This kind of cry for help is all too common today, and not many people take it seriously, even the lords who won after the war had their own losses, and there was no way they could go to his aid. Zhang Bin stared at the Book of Lords, and when he found that there was no response in the channel, and no one was willing to support him, his expression instantly slumped, the decadent paralysis softened, and most of the spirit and energy dissipated. What's the use of the hard support now? There seems to be no big difference between dying early and dying late. Lord, what's wrong with you? You must hold on, everyone can count on you. The soldier on the side said loudly. The soldiers wore simple leather armor and held iron spears in their hands. His whole body was stained with blood, making him look like a blood man. This is the blood of the beast, his own and his dead companions. No one wanted to die, even the recruited villagers and soldiers didn't want to die either. Hey! Everything is over, why did I come here, why did I come here? Zhang Bin kept murmuring in a low voice. When the soldiers saw Zhang Bin's state, they all knew it. The Lord lost his fighting spirit first. How could he fight this battle? All the soldiers and villagers were also instantly depressed, and they lost the idea of continuing to persevere. The beast launched a more violent attack. When Zhang Bin and the villagers were about to die, there was a burst of footsteps outside the room. The sound of footsteps is very clear, as if there are thousands of troops approaching. Lord, there is a fight between a team and a beast. The soldier who had been guarding the gate shouted with joy. Zhang Bin's spirit was instantly shocked. Could it be that the nearby lords came to help? Immediately stood up, came to the door and looked out along the gap. Just looking at it like this, Zhang Bin's happy mood instantly changed to panic and fear. There are indeed very elite troops fighting the beasts outside, but this team is not human, but a skeleton monster wearing armor and holding sharp weapons. This kind of skeleton soldier, whether in film and television works or novel games, is a villain who opposes humans. This is to not drive away the hungry wolf, but to come to the tiger again. Everyone was clinging to windows or gaps and looking out. The skeleton army fought fiercely with the herd, but the number of the army of skeletons is really too many, and the herd is only a few hundred. This army of skeletons is like a sea of white skeletons. Wu Yang drowned the herd. Soon the battle was over. All beasts boiled with their blood were slaughtered. The army of skeletons began to sweep the battlefield. Zhang Bin and the others watched everything. Their hearts lifted, they held their breath, and did not dare to make a sound, for fear that an accident would attract the attention of these skeletons and attack them. None of them are match for the beasts, let alone resist these undead hordes. At this moment, a soldier whispered, "Lord, look at what that skeleton is going to do." Zhang Bin was startled and gave the soldier a vicious look, telling him not to speak, but also found one of the skeletons and immediately changed positions to see what he was going to do. I saw this skeleton walk straight to the warehouse, carefully observed it, and put all the gems in the warehouse into the backpack. I saw some rare materials accumulated by myself, which were put into the backpack by skeletons. Zhang Bin didn't have much reaction. If someone rushes to help, he will also give these materials to others. If you take this skeleton, you can take it, as long as you don't hurt yourself. Just as everyone was looking forward to it, these undead creatures hurriedly left. The skeleton with the gemstone stood in front of the Lord's wooden house. Dong dong dong. The door was knocked. Holy shit. Zhang Bin and the others shivered and were almost scared to the ground. Several villagers hugged each other, their faces pale. Really, sure enough, these skeletons wouldn't give up on them. Fang Hao controlled the skeleton to stand in front of the wooden house and knocked gently on the door. He didn't have any other ideas. he just wanted to see if there was anything good in the other lord's wooden house. After all, Zhang Bin in the channel promised that whoever can save him will give all the resources to the other party. He also doesn't need all the resources and can't use them either. It shouldn't be too much to pick some gems and favorites, only. Fang Hao had already knocked on the door, and there was only a groan in the room. There is no following. Fang Hao didn't wait any longer. He slammed and kicked the door open. He saw everyone looking at him in horror, and one of them had the Book of Lords hanging on his waist, so he knew it was the lord of this place, Zhang Bin. Zhang Bin knelt directly in front of Fang Hao and shouted loudly, "Lord Undead, we are just ordinary human beings and have not disturbed your sleep, please don't hurt us." Fang Hao frowned. What a mess. Pushing it aside, he continued to observe Zhang Bin's lord's wooden house. The level of the wooden house should be level 3, and the second floor bedroom has already appeared, but the interior is quite ordinary, with chairs and tables simply assembled from wood. Fang Hao continued to ascend to the second floor under the unsure eyes of Zhang Bin and the others, and checked the rooms one by one, looking around. The eye finally falls on an item, exquisite weapon. Rack, green, dot category, shelves, function, the weapon placed in the weapon rack slowly recovers the wear of the weapon. Description, you can dislike it, but you can't ignore its meaning. Good guy, I don't know where Zhang Bin got this baby, really good. Holding him in his arms, he walked straight down the stairs. Seeing Zhang Bin and the others who were still nervous, he patted each other on the shoulder lightly and walked straight out of the lord's wooden house. A group of skeletons left with the bodies of more than 100 beasts. Zhang Bin and the others were left behind, their eyes filled with confusion, looking at the undead army that was gradually leaving. What's the situation? What is this for? Picked 2 materials, a shelf that I picked up, and just left. Lord. We are victorious, we can clean up the battlefield, and the night will come soon. Zhang Bin reacted instantly and said loudly, yes, hurry up, clean the battlefield, let's eat meat at night, and the meat will be full. The skeleton legion took some of the beast corpses and left many more, enough to feed them for days. Okay. The crowd replied. With the excitement of being embarrassed, Fang Hao returned to the territory with the last batch of supplies. The sky was dark. Ear had already prepared dinner and was waiting for Fang Hao to come back, just commanded the skeleton to unload the cargo. The system prompt suddenly sounded. Congratulations to all lords, the beast blood boiling challenge is over, and the rewards will be distributed according to the points for completing this task. The beast blood boiling challenge is over. Those beasts that were still attacking, their blood-boiling state disappeared, and they automatically returned to the forest. Chapter 50, Number 1 in the World. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Before everyone could breathe a sigh of relief, the system prompt sounded again. World announcement. Congratulations to the Lord Fang Hao, who ranked first in points this time. Rewards. Influence of all factions plus 100, influence of your own faction plus 300, 1 hero recruitment scroll, 1 special architectural blueprint, 1 props making blueprint, war coin plus 300. The system announces it 3 times in a row. Whether you want to hear it or not, it's being communicated continuously. Really, Fang Hao is the world's first. The private chat of the Book of Systems sounded. Brother Fang Hao, you are still the best. Fang Hao, YYDS, awesome class. Congratulations, boss, world number 1. Some people who have exchanged drawings and materials with them have sent private chats of congratulations. Fang Hao also replied to thank you one by one. At the same time, the regional channel also exclaimed. The big guy in our region is number 1 in the world. Fang Hao is awesome. Not only is he number 1 in our region, but he is also number 1 in the world. Thanks to Fang Hao's weapon, I can survive. I will just say, whoever dares to speak ill of the boss is my enemy. The channel is discussing Fang Hao's achievement of the world number 1. Fang Hao, on the other hand, started to check his rewards after dinner. Hero recruitment volume, this faction, category, recruitment volume, description, after use, you can randomly recruit heroes of this faction. Fang Hao clenched his fist, and his heart was full of excitement. In the past few days, he has seen the power of heroes. Bronze Bull Terok, the chief of the Tauren, sitting in the Manim market. Even the arrogant orcs must abide by the rules set by Terok. From this point, you can see the strength of its own strength, and the same is true of the flaming Blaziken who are fighting today. One person is comparable to an army. Relying on his own strength, he forced the undead army out of a vacuum belt. Fang Hao also just relied on the number of skeletons to force him to death. It can be said that heroes and units are completely two concepts, more powerful. Each of them is a tyrannical power occupying one side. With this recruitment volume, you can have heroes yourself, suppress your curiosity and continue to check other rewards. Orange Special Architectural Blueprint, Wishing Pool Drawing, Orange, dot. Category, Special Architectural Drawings, Pre-construction, for statues, 1/4, dot. Required materials, wood 5,200, stone 3,500, tough hemp rope 1,200, stone brick 3,000, natural gem 120, traces of forest 120, coral crystal 50, ocean tears 50, breeze white coral 50, morning blue coral 50, magic essence 10, the essence of perfection 5. Description: you can consume a certain amount of basic resources to make a wish every week, and you can get a wish reward with a probability. An orange architectural blueprint. The materials for the purple blueprints awarded by the system last time have not yet been collected. Here comes another orange drawing, but the description of this special building is indeed a bit powerful. Once a week, there is an opportunity to make a wish by consuming basic resources, and there is a chance to obtain the wished item, for statues need to be built in the front. And the goddess of fertility in the territory is one of them. 3 more idols need to be collected, and this bizarre material requires some effort. Dwarf fire gun production drawing, blue, dot. Category, fire gun, required materials, synthetic plate 5, cold forged steel 3, precision parts 12. Description: simple trigger method, effective attack ability, let the dwarves become famous in the world. Another nice tool, a simple trigger method is especially important for the stubborn and rigid skeleton armies of the undead. At this time, he still remembered, let the skeleton soldiers try to imitate the kobold, and rotate the sling to attack. But the effect is simply shattering. The Shersoa flying around not only knocked down a few companions, but even he was almost headshot. He removed all the slings on the spot and turned them into rocks and hemp rope. Came over with the washed wild fruit. As soon as he approached, he saw Fang Hao sitting there with his head bowed and a smirk. Didn't know that Fang Hao was looking at the reward attribute. He just thought there was something good, so he was secretly having fun here. Master, the fruit has been washed, please eat it. Kneeling to the side, he brought the fruit to Fang Hao. There are still light drops of water hanging on the fruit, which looks crystal clear and very delicious. Get up, don't kneel at every turn in the future, your legs are blinded. No, I mean to finish your work normally, you don't need to bow and kneel at every turn. Fang Hao said softly, this is the second day of Ear's arrival. After the battle during the day, Ear is not so afraid of skeletons anymore. He also directed the skeleton and replaced his room with a solid wood double bed, but when facing Fang Hao, he always knelt down at every turn, looking like he was being bullied. Hearing Fang Hao's words, Ear stood up from the ground. Her fair knees were a little red. Fang Hao picked up the fruit and took a sip. It tasted a bit like a pear, with a lot of moisture, but the taste was average. What is this fruit? Fang Hao asked. Honggua, said Ear. Well, it should be named after the color of the skin of the fruit. You eat it too. I got a lot this time, just the two of us. It will be rotten if we can't finish it. Fang Hao handed the fruit to Ear and said softly, hundreds of baskets were pulled back from the orc tribe, and each basket should not contain more than 20 fruits, just the two of them. They couldn't finish eating, but they all rotted away soon. Ear took it carefully, looked at Fang Hao, and took a bite. In an instant, the sweet juice poured into the mouth. Thank you, master. Ear swallowed the fruit and showed a satisfied smile. Fang Hao smiled slightly. Okay, if you like to eat, you can eat more. After he finished speaking, he held the recruitment scroll in his hand and walked out. Instead of tasting fruit here, he still wanted to use the recruitment scroll to recruit his first hero. Go out of the Lord's cabin. The sky was dark, and a bright moon hung high. Fang Hao held the hero recruitment scroll, and thought about ancient famous generals. Inexplicably, I suddenly realized that this is not a world, and it seems impossible for the characters I want to appear here. I can only pray that a high rank, superior, and invincible general will come out. In this way, he can safely be a salted fish lord. It seems that he is quite salty now, whether to use the hero recruitment volume of this faction. After use, a hero of this faction can be randomly recruited. Take a deep breath. Use. Then, the recruitment scroll in his hand emitted a faint light, and it slowly drifted away like burning paper. The next second, in the open space in front of him, a complicated array appeared. Under the shroud of orange light, a figure slowly rose from the ground. Fuck. The Golden Legend. The light fades away, a tall and thin figure appeared in front of him, successfully recruited, Corpse Witch Nelson, Orange Tier 7 hero.